If this is you sitting there wondering if what you're feeling is real, or if you've just been holding on to the idea of someone, then you're not alone. Maybe you're tired of guessing, tired of trying to read between the lines, tired of giving so much of yourself while quietly wondering if she even feels the same depth, the same pull, the same connection you feel every time you look at her. Maybe this feels familiar. You replay the moments where she laughed with you, the times she held your hand a little tighter, the nights she opened up just enough to make you believe there was something real. And yet the doubt creeps in. The silence, the inconsistency, the part of you that wonders, am I loving her more than she loves me? Because when a woman truly loves you, you can feel it. Or at least you should. But right now, you're stuck in that painful in-between, between hope and fear, between what she shows and what she hides, between what you want to believe and what you're scared to admit. If this is you, maybe you've been forcing yourself not to overthink, telling yourself you're being dramatic, trying to stay calm while your mind is screaming for clarity. Maybe you've given her pieces of you that no one else has ever seen, and now you're wondering if she ever intended to give the same in return. And somewhere deep down, you're asking yourself the question no man wants to say out loud, if she truly loved me, wouldn't it be obvious? But here's the truth. Women show love differently, not always in words, not always in the ways you expect, but in unmistakable patterns, in quiet actions, in things she can't help but do when her heart is genuinely tied to yours. So the real question is, what are the signs she can't hide? The 11 things only a woman who truly loves you will do. Most men get this completely wrong, and it's not because they don't care or because they're not trying. It's because they've been taught to chase, to prove, to question everything she does instead of simply understanding the nature of real love. They confuse attention with affection, texts with trust, and actions with intentions. And in the process, they miss what's actually right in front of them. Here's the truth. A woman who truly loves you doesn't need to be coerced, manipulated, or convinced. She doesn't play games to test your worth. She shows it naturally, consistently, without hesitation. Because love like that flows from the heart, not from insecurity. Most men are looking for signs that don't exist, imagining signals where there are none, and punishing themselves for things they can't control. That's not attraction, that's confusion. The core masculine principle here is clarity. A man who understands himself, who knows his value, doesn't get lost in guessing games. He observes, he trusts, he measures reality against reality, not against fear or fantasy. And when a woman truly loves him, her behavior aligns with truth, not with what he wishes it to be. That alignment is unmistakable, and it's exactly what men miss when they overthink, overanalyze, or chase approval. Another principle is grounded patience. Love is not frantic. It's not a checklist. It's a current you feel when she's with you. Men who panic, who demand proof, or who try to force certainty are acting from a place of scarcity. The man who understands his own presence and his own worth, he doesn't need her to prove it constantly. He watches, he waits, and he recognizes love in its purest form when it can't be hidden. So if you've been doubting her, questioning her, or spinning your wheels trying to figure out whether she really cares, that confusion isn't a flaw in her. It's a flaw in the lens you've been using. And once you see through it, the truth becomes simple, unmistakable, and undeniable. He's standing in the kitchen, the faint hum of the refrigerator filling the quiet space between them. She's across the room, laughing softly at something she said a moment ago, not at him, not performing, just genuinely laughing. He watches the way her eyes catch the light, how her hand brushes against the counter, almost absent-mindedly, almost intimate. And for a moment, his chest tightens because he realizes he's been craving this, craving her attention, craving a sign that he matters more than he's allowed himself to believe. Maybe this feels familiar, the nights when you sit across from her at the table, sipping coffee, trying not to read too much into every gesture. You've analyzed the tone of her voice 1,000 times, replayed conversations, tried to measure the weight of her words. And yet, here it is, a quiet moment, unforced, unscripted, and somehow louder than anything she could ever say. He remembers the time she stayed up with him when sleep wouldn't come, when his thoughts kept spinning and the world felt too heavy. He remembers the way she caught his hand in hers when he didn't even notice he needed it. And the thought crosses his mind again, does she even feel this? Or is it all in my head? But then the small things appear. She adjusts the blanket over his shoulders without a word, laughs at a joke before he finishes it, remembers the tiniest detail he didn't think mattered. And he feels it, the pull, the truth, the unspoken confirmation that it's real. The kind of love that doesn't need to scream, doesn't need to demand, doesn't need to prove anything. And he realizes in that quiet, ordinary moment that when a woman truly loves you, it's in the rhythm of her presence, in the way she moves through your world, quietly leaving pieces of her heart wherever she goes. And all along, he had been waiting for signs, but they were never hidden. They were always here, in the things she simply couldn't stop doing for him. Most men think love is about proof, constant messages, endless attention, or her bending herself to fit what they want. They look for drama, for grand gestures, for constant reassurance. And when they don't get it, they panic, doubt, and overanalyze. Here's the truth: love isn't performative. It's quiet. It's consistent. It's visible in the patterns she can't help but show. She didn't leave you. She stayed consistent in ways you didn't notice. Another false belief: that affection is always obvious, loud, and easy to read. Men forget that women often express love subtly. A soft touch remembering something you said months ago. A quiet text that says, "I see you, I'm here." Real love isn't about fanfare, it's about alignment. She doesn't have to say it to show it. If you're chasing words over actions, you're chasing a shadow. And more men often think it's their job to earn love, to manipulate it, to test it. That if she truly loves them, she should act a certain way on cue. That's not love. That's control disguised as affection. True love isn't conditional. It flows naturally, even in the smallest gestures you barely notice. She didn't ghost you. You disappeared from yourself. Wake up to this. A woman who truly loves you doesn't hide it. She doesn't play games to see if you're worthy. Her actions are quiet, persistent, and unmistakable, and the men who recognize it aren't looking harder, they're seeing clearer. Stop searching for signs that aren't there. Start noticing the ones that are. This is what the 1% Headman understands. Love isn't a puzzle to solve, it's a reflection of presence. He doesn't chase signals, analyze texts, or measure her worthiness against his insecurities. He knows that a woman who truly loves him will show it in ways he doesn't have to demand or decode. He doesn't need proof in every message, validation in every glance, or affirmation in every word. He leads with clarity, not confusion, and that calm certainty changes everything. This is how he leads, with presence, not pressure. He's grounded in his own life, his own purpose, his own energy. He doesn't overcomplicate her actions, and he doesn't overcompensate with effort that isn't reciprocated. He's fully aware of the space he occupies, and he moves through it with quiet confidence. When she gives her attention, he receives it without desperation. When she steps back, he doesn't panic. He trusts the rhythm of connection because he knows the signs of genuine love are unmistakable, consistent, effortless, and natural. He also understands timing. The 1% Headman doesn't try to rush feelings or force certainty. He doesn't react to fear or insecurity. He holds steady, letting the relationship unfold with authenticity. He sees that love isn't about grand performances. It's about the little things, the repeated gestures, the silent commitments that show a woman's heart is invested. This is what separates him from the rest. While most men are consumed with doubt, chasing validation, and misreading signals, he observes and appreciates the truths that are already present. He doesn't interpret love through a lens of need. He sees it through a lens of awareness. He feels the energy, he notices the patterns, and he trusts them without overthinking. He doesn't just want love, he commands it through his presence. And in that presence, the woman who truly loves him reveals herself without coercion, without games, without hesitation. She doesn't need to prove it because he already recognizes it in every gesture she can't hide, every attention she can't resist giving, every quiet action that speaks louder than words. The 1% Headman doesn't create love. He simply exists in a way that love has no choice but to show itself. And when he does, it's unmistakable. He's sitting alone, the weight of uncertainty pressing against his chest, scrolling through messages he's already read 100 times. The quiet in the room feels heavier than the phone in his hand, and then it hits him, not as a thought, but as a pulse, a shift in the air around him. He's been waiting for signs, searching for proof, trying to measure love by her actions instead of remembering his own. And in that stillness, he finally sees it. He doesn't need to chase validation. He doesn't need to wonder if he's enough. He's always been enough. The truth he's been ignoring, buried under doubt, fear, and longing, rises up with clarity. Love doesn't make him, it reflects him. If she truly loves him, it will be in the things she cannot hide. If she does not, that is her choice, not a measure of his value. The moment feels like a release. The tension in his shoulder softens. His heart steadies. For the first time in a long time, he stops reaching for answers outside himself and starts listening to the certainty inside. He remembers who he is, what he deserves, and that love, real love, cannot exist where he is invisible to himself. And in that instant, waiting no longer feels necessary. He carries his worth with him, quiet, unshakable, undeniable. When you finally stop searching for signs and start feeling the truth in her presence, everything becomes clear. The little gestures, the quiet consistency, the way she moves through your life without hesitation, they speak louder than any words ever could. You realize it wasn't about proving her love. It was about seeing it, and trusting yourself in the process. A woman who truly loves you doesn't need to perform. Her heart shows itself naturally. And the moment you see it, you understand this of love isn't found. It's recognized in the life you already carry.